I don't have time for lunch. You have to eat something. Sit down with no computer in front of you, or close the computer, or however you're working, and just feel the texture of the food in your mouth. Allow yourself to slow everything down and imagine that you're doing it in your mind in slow motion. So I say to them, if you're so overwhelmed, at least show yourself a little respect. Like, say, no one else is the boss of me apart from me. My phone calls, my person I report into, my children. If I don't show up for myself, there's no me.
Welcome to the Mindfulness Experience podcast. My name is Keith Fiveson. On this show, I had a fun conversation with Manjit Devgun. She is a mystic, a mindfulness teacher, a hypnotist who is focused on the power of meditation, song, prayer, and sound therapy to rewire consciousness. Manjit has a solid practice that includes a new mobile app that is used globally, along with her personal and corporate work that helps individuals to alleviate negative habits and childhood trauma. Manjit has a great personality, is fun to be with, and is very light and very conversational about what she does. It was a lot of fun. I really hope you enjoy this conversation too. Manjit Devgun, what is going on, Manjit? What is going on? Who are you, Manjit? Why are we talking?
Who am I? Who are you? Why are we here? What is consciousness? How are we related? How do we know each other from previous lives?
Yeah, Manjit,
how do you want to answer that?
It's such a big question, right? So let me just sort of say that, I love the fact that you're here. You have such a broad base of knowledge. As I said to you before, you've got this perspective which is really bringing a whole other area of consciousness to mindfulness, which is really helping people to not only look at the surface of, oh, okay, I'm breathing, everything's really great, but really helping them to go down below. And you bring some background and some perspective that I think, everyone really needs to hear about. Tell people a little bit about who you are and what your journey has been. Why are you here? Why am I talking to you?
You asked me to come here, Keith. That's why I showed up. You say jump, I say when and how high. No, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Keith. It's just beautiful to be here and share space with you in this way. So for the past 7-8 years, I've been guiding people in sessions, teaching meditation, hypnosis, breath work, healing work, and really guiding people to remind them that it's so important to have a mind-body connection. And also learn to be more intuitive, invite them to be more intuitive so that they can really sense what their own moral code is. And for everyone else, that is so different. And through this journey, we're all individuals. We all have our own unique path. And for me, I'm so passionate. I want to see people be the best version of themselves. And so each person's practices in their daily life in order to enhance that version of them that really allows them to shine and let go of limiting beliefs and show up as their true version of themselves. It's going to be different for each one of us, right? Based on our imprints and our upbringing and our conditioning and what society and culture has shown us. And so because of that, I started recording individual sessions for my clients. And then, just going on this journey the past 7 years of using all of these modalities and then finally putting them into an app. So just to make it, easier to have for people to have more access with that.
Right. So that's totally amazing. You've created this incredible app. You've got this incredible voice. I mean, we met each other through a lot of the coursework that we've been doing, and then also met in real life. And it was amazing to me because you did a wonderful thing where you were singing and you were doing,
chanting hymns.
You were chanting, but what was so amazing to me is I had my eyes closed. I thought you actually had a speaker nearby. I thought there was like a loudspeaker, because you resonated. The sound just resonated with the chanting and the sound vibration. And you call this, you have something where you call the whole idea of modern mindfulness, of creating all this and bringing it into one's life to go ahead and repattern the way people are. Can you speak to what that means? Because not a lot of people who are doing mindfulness do a lot of chanting. I mean, if you're doing yoga, you do that. And sound is a big part of your work. And, hypnosis is a big part of your work. And you bring that into this thing you call modern mindfulness. What is that? What does that mean?
So really what's happened over the past few years especially, I love that meditation has come to the forefront in work culture, corporate culture, that we're all very much aware that if you sit and you quieten the mind and you breathe deeply, that you do reduce stress. But what has happened is that we have forgotten where meditation comes from. We've forgotten the history and everything that comes with it. And we're starting to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And for me, I grew up singing in the temple on the stage with my parents. My parents helped run the local.
Now you grew up. You have a Sikh background, right? So
yes,
and you were really involved with the temple, and you were singing. So that's kind of the base of how you grew up.
Yeah, that's
right?
my childhood. And so growing up in Sikh culture tradition, my very orthodox Sikh father, who I love dearly, who's like my best friend now. But understanding that the culture and the traditions that we have, whether it be shamanic, whether it be Asian, whether it be Hindu, Buddhist, we have this whole ritual that goes with the meditation. We have prayers, we have tantras, and all of this is being ignored right now. And I learned about meditation and mindfulness really through singing hymns. And I learned the power of prayer when you sing at a young age. And in Sikhism, we speak in Punjabi, but the Guru Granth Sahib, which is our holy book, is actually written it's almost in song form, right? So you're meant to sing it because the sound current, the naad, is what heals your body. And before I even knew the proper translation of these shabds as a 11-year-old, I would sing them and I would feel something in my body. So I knew that it was doing something to me. When I was rehearsing them in my bedroom, I would cry and I would sing it like one of my favorite singers at the time, Asha Bosley, would sing them. And then obviously when I'm on the stage in the temple, I have the harmonium, and it's a little bit more formal because I want to get the notes right, and I'm performing it. But that original feeling in my body is what really set it off for me. Right. And I knew that there was power in that. And this is without the, casing of religion even. That sound and intention and feeling is so important in what you're singing and what your words are. And then that kind of transmits into everything that we do. Beautiful.
And one of the things that, of course, with Steve Porges and the whole vagus nerve, we do understand from a science viewpoint that this is one of the ways to go ahead and calm us down, to go ahead and recalibrate, to go ahead and really find resonance in the body. And you've just pointed in on something that's sacred or something that's ancient in a lot of cases, right? But yet, from modern perspective, it really has we see from a science viewpoint that it really has an effect on us in a number of ways. So you incorporate this into the work you do, and you do a lot of this work with CEOs and executives, and you're involved with teams, and you do one-on-one coaching and things of that nature. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I love that you mentioned Stephen Porges because I love his work. And one of the conversations that I was having with a singer-songwriter friend of mine is that this has been our therapy our whole life, is singing, songwriting, and toning the vagus nerve, basically. And so with clients one-on-one, I do toning work as well as teaching them how to breathe deeply, because of, especially the past 2 years, people are not breathing deeply. And so what I do when I'm in a corporate setting, is, first of all, there's no point in guiding someone in meditation or visualization or reaching their goals if they don't have that mind-body connection. And I can tell when I'm guiding someone through just some simple breathing work, they're all in their chest. And there's a lot more people in their chest than before 2 years ago. So when you incorporate like listening, say, for example, on the app, I have these prayers embedded just as kind of, they're in the tracks. I'm a singer-songwriter, so I wanted to make all of the tracks sound
beautiful stuff you're doing. Yeah.
And have like a real stereo sound to it. So that's just the artist in me. But tying together these ancient lineages, these ancient prayers, embedding those, allowing yourself to have this modern mindset of, oh, these are like cool sounds. It's not some, I find a lot of the music is very generic that we're using if we're using them in the background of guided meditations. And then also bringing all of the modalities. So you might start a session, whether it's recorded or whether I'm doing it live with a corporation. So make sure that you have your mind and body connection, that you're actually speaking to your body with your hands. Place your hands on your chest, place your hands on your belly. We've become so disembodied and we've become so cerebral in our head, and we want everything to be proven by science, which is great, because guess what? All of these ancient technologies and modalities are being proven by science.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But for me, I want to bring that to the forefront and remind people, even with a modality like hypnosis, I mean, now it's getting a lot of press. But what is hypnosis? Isn't it really Buddhist Tantra? Isn't it shamanic drumming and journeying? When you relax the brainwaves, when you go down from beta to alpha to theta, you're able to rewire the brain. That's neuroplasticity.
Right.
So when you're able to go into trance modes and you hear the shamanic drum, which is at a pace that is going to invite you to go into that theta mode, you're going back and you're perhaps repatterning something from childhood, or you're able to see past lives. However you want to look at it, whether you want this real scientific reductionistic view of like, oh, well, this is what's happening to the body, and this is how the telomeres grow in meditation, or whether you want to look at it from a whole spiritual aspect of this is what my ancestors did. My grandmother taught me how to sing shabds. My father read me bedtime stories of Guru Nanak, and that's what conditioned me as a child. That's the behavior that's conditioned in me. But then I've got these imprints. And for me, it's like I'm so passionate about people seeing the whole story, the whole journey. How can you address what has happened in the past? So that you can be completely mindful and present and enjoy your day and remember to bring in joy so that you can create the future that you want.
Right. So there's this repatterning, this reframing, this ability to do that. And I love what you say about the confluence or the mix of Tantra or visualization or hypnosis as we know it, and the ability to imprint, to go ahead and provide it a new imprint. I think from a science viewpoint, we can call it imprinting, or, the ability to go ahead and imprint certain values or certain perspectives around it, and compassion, love being all of those. But it really allows individuals to at least access it from a science viewpoint, and then you're bringing them deeper, right?
Yeah.
So when you use, what does that manifesting hypnosis mean? You use that term, and I saw that on the website, manifesting with hypnosis.
Yes.
What does that specifically mean, manifesting with hypnosis, so people understand that? Because that sounds a little woo-woo to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the way that I approach manifesting is, what is it that you want to bring in? What are your goals and what are your limiting beliefs?
Is it like the ability to, what do we call that? The law of attraction? Is it kind of like that? The law of LOA? Because that
can really spiritually bypass your journey.
Right.
And so I mean, trust me, when The Secret came out 20 years ago, whenever it was, I was so into it. And I was, wow, this is amazing. And I felt so pumped up after watching that. And, you learn the hard way that, you can put a vision board up and you can do all
But if you're not doing the work, if you're actually not doing the work.
For me, actually, I've actually done the work. I'm good at doing the work, but I have, as all of us do, limiting beliefs. And that's where this insight is so important, looking at how you were conditioned as a child.
So what do you mean? Can you also explain what you mean by limiting beliefs? I want to
limiting beliefs,
people understand that.
Yeah. So it's like we all have something that stops us from getting, from manifesting, from bringing in our dreams and desires and making them a reality. For example, someone might want to have a partner or have a business. And the thing that's stopping them, say, for example, from having that business is that they believe that they're not good enough. So going to the past and looking at, and I do this with clients using hypnosis techniques or, just realization of how, what your conditioning was, what your parents presented to you, what you were shown by culture and society. And I can give you a personal example. I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. And my dad was very supportive of me singing in the temple, singing shabds, doing kirtan, being in the temple. But when it came to taking singing lessons to become an R&B singer, the answer was no. Literally told me, if you want to do that, you can get out of my house. Now, at the time, I absolutely hated him. He's my best friend now. But this is culture and society telling him that if your daughter starts to become a singer-songwriter and singing Western songs about love and sex, perhaps, that it's going to destroy your family morals, your culture, your reputation. And Indian girls don't do that, right? And so then he also said to me, and besides, if you can sing like Lata Mangeshkar, who's like this iconic Bollywood singer, very well respected, if you can't sing like her in her range, then, you're not really the best of singers. And I have an alto range. So then as a child, I had this feeling as a teenager that, oh, I'm not good enough anyway, and I can't do it. So that's my limiting beliefs. And the hard work that I had to do was, even when I moved here, was, I'm waiting for someone to rescue me, because culture tells me that the man does all the kind of, there's certain guidance that you get. And so these limiting beliefs stopped me from progressing. Right.
So you got your program, and your program was said, here you are, this is who you are. And, it limited you in terms of your innate desire, your innate ambitions, your aspirations. So what you're saying is, through this hypnosis process, through the process that you do, you go back and you confront those, you look at those, and then you reframe those with some other words or some other capabilities. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this, that we have any time you bring up a memory from the past, if you're doing it in a relaxed state, you can't, the memory will not go back the same way. So you're shifting it, you're moving it. The brain becomes malleable when you're in a relaxed state.
So do you use the hypnosis then to reframe it in terms of another vision, which says, this is who you are, you heard that, but inside yourself, that's not, that's a limiting belief. So, and then you reframe the story and you provide another story or another pattern to it. Is that true?
Typically, I'll guide a client into a resource state, first of all, and then take them back to what their body is showing them. And sometimes I'll start with a little bit of intensive breath work, where we're really revving up the engine, so to speak, and letting the body speak to you. What's the emotion when you started with anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes of intense 2-part breathing? And what's the emotion you feel at the end of the exhale? Where in your body is that emotion trapped? Where does it need? And this is the stuff I love, when you're learning all these different modalities, and what, the well-known book now, Body Keeps the Score, tells us is that the body has all the memory of everything emotional that has been shown to us. And, this is why I love diving deep into all of these modalities and bringing them together, because when you show this to clients, you teach them about themselves and where they're holding this energy. And it gives them more autonomy over their healing, I feel, teaching them so that when they're not in session, they're able to practice these modalities themselves and understand how they're able to really help themselves every day in their healing.
I love that. I love the breath work side of it. I really believe, and this, I wrote it down in my book. I think we've already had a conversation about it, which is the root word for breath is spir, S-P-I-R, and it's in inspire, in spirit, in aspire, in expire. But you take your breath with you wherever you are. So one of the things that you talked about is it's not just about, and I read this quote that you had, that it's not just about like sitting down at the cushion, right? It's not just about meditating at the cushion, that you can take mindfulness and it can be incorporated into daily life. How do you do that? What are the things that you might recommend for people to do that in daily life? We talk about deep breath work, but what does that actually mean in terms of bringing it into your daily life, and how do you incorporate it?
So I really believe in doing things in small increments, because a lot of clients that come to me that want to learn meditation or establish it or just get peace of mind, whatever it is, they say, I don't have the time. This is what I think any meditation teacher listening to this, that's the most, the thing that they hear the most is like, I don't have time.
My mind wanders. I don't have the time.
Yeah. I'm like, well, how much time do you have? And so, talking about neuroplasticity, it's up to us to also invoke a little bit of discipline. I think we have to at least just prove to ourselves that we can show up just for 2 minutes. So I say to them, if you're so overwhelmed, at least show yourself a little respect. Like say, no one else is the boss of me apart from me. My phone calls, my person I report into, my children, if I don't show up for myself, there's no me. There's no me to give anyone else. So the first thing I say to a client is, if you just make that journey from your bed to a seat or a cushion, just to sit down for yourself for 2 minutes, and just place a hand on the chest and the belly, then just breathe and learn to take some deep, deep breaths for 2 minutes. That's all you do. And then perhaps throughout the day, maybe at lunchtime, you might do it. And so start to seed in that practice. And it might be twice a day for 2 minutes. And then take one little action, like washing the dishes or eating without the television on, or eating without multitasking. Say this one meal, even if I only have 15 minutes, because that's how a lot of people are working. They like, I eat at my desk. I don't have time for lunch. You have to eat something. Sit down with no computer in front of you, or close the computer, or however you're working, and just feel the texture of the food in your mouth. Allow yourself to slow everything down and imagine that you're doing it in your mind in slow motion. So little techniques like this seeded into the day, maybe once to begin with. And then week 2, maybe twice, maybe week 3, adding something else, slowly rewiring the brain with kindness and compassion to yourself.
I love that.
We have to remember we've been through a really hard time the past 2 years, and we can't expect to just show up and be the best version of ourselves, A-type personality. We're all built so differently, and that's what's beautiful.
Yeah, there really is opportunities, as you point out, for what I have always called sacred moments of truth. It's sort of like little moments, where you just sort of say thankful. You stay thankful and you stay mindful of your breath. You're aware of what's going on, and you just sort of stop. You stop for just a moment and just have a sense of self, the embodiment, and so on and so forth. And And I think that's really beautiful. Do you bring this into organizations, and do you, because one of the things I also read about you is you do a lot of corporate work and you work with organizations, and you had something on your website about upgrading your team, which sort of, I love that because I think the human BIOS needs an upgrade. But is that sort of like where you're at? Is it an idea of being able to bring teams together to go ahead and do this together? And how does that work, and what does that look like?
Well, I think now, because people have had so many choices the past 2 years, working from home has been the norm for everyone in some capacity, in some way or the other. And people have had choice and freedom to think about their job and what it's bringing to them. And so now employees, I feel, are more aware that mental health is so important. And so, sometimes we're taught in the old-fashioned way as team leaders to, have this discipline of it's all about sales and these rules that are all about like what company profit is the most important thing. And for me, having worked in luxury retail and being part of bigger corporations, we spend more time with our co-workers than we do with our loved ones, right? So if you're able to guide team leaders and guide employees into how to create a better environment for themselves and also for their team, you're really enriching their lives and have more influence on them than perhaps their, even their meditation practice that they're trying to establish in their personal life. Because if you show up with empathy as a team leader, and you're actually conditioning that into your body, and you're learning techniques like, what's it like if I look at my life from this new employee's perspective? He's shown up, he's struggling with this task. How can I help support him as if I'm in his shoes, with real empathy, really taking the time to slow down from each person's perspective that works for you. Your experience as a team leader, your evolution as a person is going to grow and expand. And then also you're going to be bringing such a beautiful environment for your team to show up in that allows them to be vulnerable, that allows them to share with you all of the things that they're struggling with. And that way you're able to have this environment which isn't just about goals and making money. Of course, we're working in this environment. We're working to achieve goals. Yes, we're companies. We want to be successful. But this company culture is so important. And so what I'm bringing is exactly all the modalities that I've talked about, especially empathy, especially creating a culture that really allows everyone to thrive and feel upgraded in their mind, that they're better versions of themselves, that they're learning from each other, and they're able to be more open so that they're able to grow as individuals and bring more to the team and their home life.
And I think that's, you point out some really, really valuable, and the old leadership way of managing people, I think, is dead. What COVID has provided us with is a real sense that there's a very thin line between our personal lives and our business lives. And, our personal lives impact our business lives, right? So this new leadership that you're talking about, the team leaders, really are to educate and teach people how to manage their thoughts, manage their feelings, and also improve their life, their quality of life personally, their health, their happiness, their relationships, whatever that looks like. And that in turn enhances the contribution that they can make as people. And there's something else that you pointed out, which I think is incredibly valuable, which is when organizations that breathe together, grow together, right? So you've got this culture, you've got this cohesiveness, which is really beautiful, that you don't see when people are not breathing together, they're not in sync, they're not communicating together. And you're really providing the baseline or the capability to do that. And I just think that's beautiful. I think it's a wonderful way for organizations to really grow.
Yeah, no, and I also, Keith, I learned it from experience. I was working in luxury retail in the service industry.
Right.
And, the first 2-3 years before I was really diving deep into these techniques, I had my mindful practice, my mantra that I chant from when I was little. But I noticed that my attitude towards clients would be, oh, they're taking too long, or, rolling my eyes when someone's being rude. And then, just shifting perspective. And you know what? I'm going to use this as a video game. This is the best place to work as far as self-evolution is, because no matter what kind of mood someone walks in, it's up to me to change their mind and make them lead with a smile on their face. And it's nothing to do with, of course, it's like we're in sales. We want to be successful. We want to make money. We've got to pay our rent. But for me, it's like that beautiful feeling of I made this person's day. And therefore, I'm raising the vibration in me, and the way that I feel good that person had a nice connection and nice conversation with that. And I use these examples when I'm in luxury retail places and corporations, and saying, this is what I used to do, and this is how I used to feel. And then I realized how some things would ruin my day, and I would go home and I would take that home to my partner perhaps, or vent about it on the phone, when really it was kind of my fault. When really I had, the opportunity to change someone else's mind. I was too lazy, or I just went to default mode of like, why are they taking too long, or whatever it might be.
Right.
And so, I think through experience working with teams, and also as a manager, and then also, for big corporations as well, has just helped me realize through experience, as well as through all the trainings.
That's great. This whole idea of reframing, these customer interactions, I think is beautiful, because, you went from, oh, this customer is a jerk, right? Or this person might be a jerk, to really, what is your need here? How can I help you? What's going on for you, right? So there's a very different presence around the interaction. And that really, you were able to bring that through your breathing and your practice overall. And that's really what you do with organizations when you work with organizations, to help them reframe them from a viewpoint of how they can contribute to the happiness of their organization and their own internal satisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that I always remind myself is that I truly believe that we're never given more than we can handle. And so no matter who we're having an interaction with, no matter how much overwhelm that we feel, and if we really center ourselves, like you were kind enough to center me when we got on this call, and took me through a beautiful, just 5-minute journey that helped me get back in my body because of the insane week that I've had. But I know that we're never given more than we can handle. So it's not what you go through, it's how you go through it. So if you want to spend your entire day at work feeling miserable and judging everyone, then great. But guess what? You're not bringing anything to your work environment. You're not growing, and you're going to end up just you're literally strengthening those neural pathways, and you're rehearsing how to be miserable every single day. But like you said, if you reframe how you look at it, and how does that person feel that's walked in a bad mood? Maybe they had an argument with their husband. Maybe they're getting a divorce. Maybe they find out that they just got cancer. It doesn't matter. But if you put a smile on your face, no matter how you're feeling, and make it your mission just for 5 minutes to make them happy and bring joy to them, you have no idea the changes that you might cause to the rest of their day, to how you feel in your heart, to take you out of the thing that's bothering you as well.
So, the time has gone by pretty quickly, and I'm certainly aware of your ability to go ahead and work with organizations and work with individuals. I'm wondering if you were to leave people with a couple of suggestions, maybe, 3 steps that they can possibly take to go ahead and, from this podcast, go ahead and walk away and say, oh, wow, that was a very interesting conversation, you talked about the 2 minutes in the morning. You talked about the reframing of the organization, of working in organizations. Do you have anything, kind of like you'd like to leave people with in terms of some ideas to get started, some things that they might listen to? Certainly your app would be one of them. We'd like to hear about that. But leave people with a couple of things that, one idea or two ideas that you might have.
Yeah. And so the thing that I always say, if you've ever taken a meditation class, or I teach this self-hypnosis class as well on a Wednesday, and I always say there's no one like you. There's no one that can do the thing that you want to do in the way that you can do it. And so it's all about showing up and being your authentic self and noticing what your triggers are. What are the things that make you feel angry, that make you upset, the people, they're all showing you something. Use what your environment and what the world is showing you in order to heal your past, to show you what it is that needs attention. And then using these 1 or 2 minute little injections throughout the day of deep breath work, of mindfulness, of slowing down. Give yourself an activity like washing the dishes or eating and doing it in slow motion. And invite yourself to just be more present and how you can, realize that time is always ticking. Time is going by. The more time that you spend, in rumination of things that are not servicing you for your higher good, that are not causing you to think in a way that allows you to heal, you're becoming more and more that person that's becoming your personality. So invite yourself to, first of all, just be present in the moment with these tiny little mindful activities. And then also for the future, then think about what it's like when you've already got the thing that you want, when you've already started your business, when you've already got the relationship, and allow yourself to feel the joy as if it's happened, so that you can start to live and practice that. And when you do that in a relaxed state, that's really what's going to help you take you out of the rumination of the past. But it really is about addressing these 3 things. And of course, this is not something that you can do in a day. It takes time. You do it in tiny increments. As far as the app is, there's actually free sessions on that app as well.
Great. So how do they find, how do folks find the app? Where do they go, and what's the app called?
www.manjit.app, and you can download the app. Manjit.
That's Manjit, Manjit.app.
And it means winner of the mind. That was the name I was born with. So I thought this is what I want people to do.
That's great. Is that what it means? Winner of the mind?
Yeah, winner of the mind. Man is like the mind, and Jeet means to win.
Oh, wow.
And so, when you change your thoughts, you can change your life. That's what it's about, right?
Change your story, change your life. And, I love the recommendation that you had, which is, I always use hindsight, insight, foresight, but you used it in terms of insight, hindsight, foresight, which is, gain the insight. Where are you now? What's happening now? Yes. Stay in that insight as far as you can. And if the past comes up, take a look at it, look at reframing it with some compassion. And then in terms of the future, the foresight, go ahead and dream. Go ahead and dream your dream. Don't get caught up in the nightmare. Get caught up in the beautiful dream of who you want to be. Yeah?
There's a reason why you want what you want in life. It's not given for you to you by mistake. So that's why, and I know you are as well, a huge advocate of meditation, because it allows us to really see and feel what our true path is, and to show up as the most authentic version of ourselves. And so when we're given that want, that desire, that passion, we want to take action on it in order to be successful, but we have to see what life is presenting us with, that are the obstacles, that are the glaciers and the imprints, because this is our soul journey. And so from a spiritual perspective, that's what we need to navigate ourselves through.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know who said it, but you wouldn't be given the dream if you weren't capable of it. You wouldn't
I love that.
it wouldn't be a part of your makeup or your thought process if you weren't capable of it. It wouldn't be there. So, what you're doing is you're really manifesting that, I think, through your work. And I think it's just beautiful. And I'm really so thankful that you can articulate that during our time together. And how would people get a hold of you, Manjit, if they wanted to contact you for corporate work or individual coaching sessions? Or what would that look like?
At that website, manjit.app, or my personal website is manjitmeditation.app. So those are the two places you can find me. And there's like at least 12, 13 free sessions on the app. There's like there's a really nice healing sleep session on there. I love hypnosis for sleep, and I know a lot of people are having issues with sleeping. Then
you sing on that too, don't you? You sing on the
so it's embedded prayers in the background for most of the tracks. And sometimes you can't hear them because that's what the modern mindfulness part of it is. It's like I didn't want to. And you'll see a lot more of that work coming. And
I have to say, for those people who haven't heard your voice, you really do have to tune in. Manjit has the most incredible voice. It really is very ethereal. It's like a call from an angel from another world. And I really believe that the work you're doing is a blessing in that regard. So I just want to encourage everyone to go on and find out more about Manjit and find out more about her work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith. It's just been an absolute pleasure and joy to be here in conversation with you. And thank you for holding this space and being a light worker here.
You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Mindfulness Experience podcast. I hope you enjoyed this frank and honest discussion with Manjit Devgun. I also hope that you gained some insights from Manjit on how sound hypnosis and the ways to alleviate negative habits and childhood traumas might work in your life. Please follow the podcast to connect with future ones and subscribe. Please do that and leave us a review. Please, we'd love to hear what your topics are and who potential speakers might be to include in the show. Connect with us on our social media channels. Visit our website, workmindfulness.com, for more mindfulness experiences. Thank you again. See you on the next show. Take care.